fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Commander Class Aerialbot Silverbolt from the Transformers Age of the Primes line from Hasbro. Really excited for this one, jumping right in. Artwork on the box looks phenomenal. I love Silverbolt's robot mode over here, very prominent on the right side. Then you got him in vehicle mode over here, flanked by Air Raid and Slingshot. You can definitely tell when this artwork was commissioned, they knew what order the Aerialbots were going to be released in. Skydive and Fireflight are nowhere to be seen, but we know they're coming later this year around November. So yeah, love the artwork here on the front of the box. Up here you get to see the entire completed Ring of Prime statues, which is always nice. You don't have to piece together a bunch of different boxes, but if that is your thing, they got you covered over here on the side. Not really much going on the bottom. Over here, you get some cool artwork of Superion. On the back, nice product shots of Superion here with no one attached. They just have, the frame and basically what you can do with what's in the box. But they show you that you can connect them over here. Got some nice product shots of the individual robot mode and vehicle mode for Silverbolt. Then they have this giant crazy combined form where if you want to combine this vehicle mode with the frame pieces, we'll take a look at that. And then also they've come up with, I guess for a base mode, it's really more of just a barricade, for him to jump behind with a gun. It's okay. I mean, they tried to do that base mode for Mixmaster, Menasor, getting closer, Motormaster, that's it. And that was somewhat successful. I feel like this is about as successful. Just trying to come up with something to do with the extra pieces. It's alright. We'll get there. Anyway, really cool box art here on the front. Let's go ahead and take a look at what you get inside. So here is everything you get in the box. Of course, you have Silverbolt, you have the chunk that is all of the framework, and then you have these two weapons. So you have this kind of smaller gun that Silverbolt will use in robot mode. Just cast out of this black plastic, not too much going on with this. And then you have this larger piece here, which is going to form a larger gun for Superion, of course. And this is mostly done in a light gray plastic, and then you can see most of this part's been painted black because it has a really nice sheen to it. Then this part here is just cast in black plastic. But yeah, we'll come back to these a little bit later on. So I think it's kind of funny. Obviously back in the Combiner Wars, we had where you just had, the 5 figures and maybe some little feet and fist pieces back in the day. And now they've kind of shifted to this model where, we give this framework, and it really does give you a better finished product like we saw with Menasor. Now, Menasor had the benefit of having a trailer for Motormaster that they could hide it in. They don't really have that option here, so they've just kind of created this brick. And it can kind of work as a vehicle mode for Silverbolt, which we'll see a little bit later on. It's a little goofy looking. Honestly, what this kind of reminds me of, it's just kind of like a chunk. I think it was Age of Ultron where, Iron Man had that, thing that just floated in space, and then when he needed it, it, broke apart and then fell to Earth and gave him the Hulkbuster. That's kind of what this feels like to me. It's just kind of like a big chunk of something that you would call on, and it would, break apart and then fly towards Silverbolt. But it's fine. I mean, I do appreciate what they're doing, and I do think you get a better finished product when it's done. What I'm surprised they didn't do, because I knew they were going to do the same kind of framework and idea, and I knew they didn't have a trailer to hide it in. I thought maybe they'll do some kind of aircraft carrier for the planes to land on, or maybe they'll do some kind of framework for takeoff or something, kind of what a space shuttle would have. I know they're not space shuttles, but I kind of thought maybe it would be something like that. Something that would make sense to kind of accompany a plane. But no, they just went with a beefy brick. It's fine. But we're going to put this off to the side for the moment so we can take a look at Silverbolt here. So Silverbolt's vehicle mode I think looks really good. Definitely looks like he did in the original cartoon. You have all the little windows painted here on the side, which I think is really nice. The windows painted along here. You've got the nose cone going on here. Now you do have a decent amount of, just kind of kibble hanging out on the bottom here. You can easily see Superion's head. But, they put landing gear in it, so you can never tell that's what it is. Also, the landing gear in the back is actually like attached to his like skirt pieces, which I thought was kind of funny. So you'd have to bring those down, but then he, has landing gear and can stand. So that's cool. I just think it's an interesting choice because, like, in robot mode, then those wheels are always going to be there. They don't stand out so much, but just something I thought was interesting. You can see the Autobot symbol up here off to the side. I really don't know. Well, I guess I do probably know, but I would have much preferred it here in the center because I feel like that's what the cartoon looked like, and it just is centered and looked better. But I think the reason they did it up here is because these pieces will be visible in the combined Superion mode, and so they wanted that Autobot symbol to be visible in the combined mode, and if they put it here, it wouldn't be. And they can't really do two right next to each other because that would look weird. It would have been neat if this was like some kind of panel you could spin, or if they just had the piece that covers this have the Autobot symbol on it so that I could have the Autobot symbol here for Silverbolt's robot mode, but what are you going to do? But overall, yeah, jet mode looks pretty good. If we bring in the other two Aerialbots that we have so far, looking pretty good. Can't wait for the other two. Very excited to get our all-new team here. But yeah, so far I think the three of these look pretty great together. But that's pretty much it for Silverbolt in vehicle mode. Let's go ahead and get him combined to this giant brick. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, a couple little things to do over here. We're going to flip up these little wing pieces. And then we're going to flip out these red pieces here on the front. Like so. Then we're going to take the larger of the guns and kind of bend this. So you can see that this kind of peg hole right here is now kind of facing up. Before it was like at an angle. Now you want it to be like this. And that is going to peg in right here. So it just kind of fills this empty space here. Like so. Then we're going to take Silverbolt. We are going to take the back tail fin and split that in half, like so. Then we have to lift up these wings, and there's a little extra section of wing here that we're going to flip out. Now, I guess technically, if you liked this look better, you could leave it out all the time in the normal jet mode, but it's not like official. But if you like that look better, you could leave it like that. And then we're just going to, well, we're going to want to keep the wings up for now. And then these red clips are going to kind of go around these leg parts back here. So kind of slide this in like that. And then this is going to close down. You can see how there's like a little tab right here, and that's going to tab into that. I might have to push this in a little bit further. There we go. That's all the way in. So now when you close it up, that tab will fit into that spot right there. So you can tab that down. And then you're going to take the other gun and put that under here. It pegs in right there. So here is the gigantic combined mode. It's kind of given me like the Ark vibes. Like if you think about it, like just this section right here, I feel like is kind of the basic shape of the Ark. Obviously the Ark didn't have the nose cone sticking out, but yeah, it's silly. It's huge. You could definitely probably pose some people on top, certainly Micromasters, but I think even the others, you could probably pose the other Aerialbots. Actually, could they just sit on here? Do kind of like some kind of air convoy. He's like the Ultra Magnus of the skies. And then they could kind of take off from here. You could pretend. But yeah, it's a gigantic, massive thing. It's silly, but it's kind of fun that it can do it. It's his trailer. Yeah, it's alright. Alright, so getting into Silverbolt's transformation, it's not too difficult, quite honestly. We'll start by just kind of lifting up the wings here. You can come to the front and open up this section, and then the tip of the nose cone will fold inside and then close back up. And then you can kind of bring this section down. Just kind of leave it out like this for now. Coming to this area, actually, you know what, let me move the wings out of the way. We have to lift up the tail. And this can be kind of difficult because of the way it moves. You have to kind of shimmy it. So you can see how it doesn't just flip up, it kind of like lifts up and over. So you want this to kind of go like that. And then you can bring this up, and this will come down and actually leave. You'd think that you would fold these flat, but you don't. It'll fit right in there. So you kind of want to bring this in until it clicks, and then bring this down. You can see that there's 2 tabs here. They're going to fit in there. And then this will just kind of pop down like that, and then you can flip the wings up. So I did that a little out of order, but we got there. Next, you're going to kind of slide this section here at this seam out, and you have to kind of clear the arm so you can see that the arm fits into part of the leg, and then you're going to just straighten that out. So we'll do the same over here. Pull this out, clear the arm, straighten this, and then you just kind of bring this down, straighten out the legs. Pretty self-explanatory. You're going to flip the feet down like so, and then also there's a heel that's going to flip out. So bring the foot down, flip out the heel. You can see pretty much done at this point. Let me angle the camera up here. This whole front section here is going to disconnect and pull away down like this. That will allow you to pull the arms out to the sides like this. Then you're going to straighten the arms by extending it down, and then you can flip out the fist as well. So straighten that down, flip out the fist. Then you want to take the Superion head. First we'll pop out the Silverbolt head, and then this whole piece is going to go straight down, and you might have to give it a little bit of force, but it will click all the way down like that. Now this part I had a little bit of issue with. I don't know if it'll have gotten better. You have the antenna for Superion, and they are supposed to go into these little spots right here. So when you close this up, but mine like didn't want to line up perfectly. So I had to kind of use my stickering tweezers here to kind of push them down into the holes so that I can close this up. But once you can get them lined up, because they're just like soft plastic, so they can kind of have a little bit of give to them. So they're not 100% rigid, so they don't stay exactly where they should be. They're a little malleable. But once you can push it in so that they're in the right spot, then it'll close up no problem. So if you're having any issues closing up the chest, just make sure that those Superion antenna are in the right spot. Conversely, if you want, you can also just remove them. They do just peg into the side of the Superion head, so if they're giving you too much trouble and you don't want to deal with it, you can just unpeg them, put them off to the side. But they should close up in there. Then we're going to spin the head around 180, pull the wings back, and then just kind of straighten out the legs, engage the ankle tilt a little bit here so we can get him standing. And there you go. That is Silverbolt in robot mode. So pretty basic transformation, but it gets the job done. I don't have any problems with how simple it is considering, everything else that this guy's going to do for us. You have the little bit of kibble with the fuselage here on the back. The wings, I think, look good. I love the Autobot symbols there. Again, I do wish his Autobot symbol was here in the center because I feel like that's where it was on the show and also just makes the most sense. But I have to assume that they put it here so you'd also see it in Superion mode. Head sculpt is a little basic, but looks good. Very reminiscent of the show. Those blue eyes look great. Silver paint for the face looks good. Head sculpt is exactly what I remember from the cartoon. You can see the head's on a ball joint, so you can look down, look slightly up, side to side. You can kind of tilt side to side ever so slightly. The Autobot symbol that is there looks really good, though. I'll give it that. They kept the design from the cartoon of the little wings on the shoulder there. I appreciate that because I always felt like that was something the original G1 toy did not have. But that was because you had that piece that you pegged in, and so it was only there when you had that piece pegged in. But they've really replicated it here well. Swivel hinge. Pretty standard stuff there at the shoulder. Bicep swivel, 90 degrees in the elbow. Technically, you have 90 degrees in the elbow the other way as well because of the transformation. Doesn't really make sense for robot mode, but it's there. Because of the way the wrists transform, nothing in the wrists. Do you have anything in the waist? Yeah, you have a waist swivel. You can see that there. With the kibble on the back, it's probably hard in the wings to get anything out of it, but it's there. You can flip up the skirt pieces, kick really far forward. You can start to go back, but again, you're going to hit into the kibble, kick out to the side, no problem. Thigh swivel there, 90 degrees at the knee. Technically, you have another bend there because you use that for transformation, so technically double jointed knees. But that looks good. You've got ankle tilt, pretty much 90 degrees there. You got a little bit of front to back with the heels as well. Not heels, ankles. I can talk well today. But that's really for transformation. So yeah, all told, I think he looks pretty good. You have the little gun here. You can put it in his hand, or if you want, you can peg it in. You can see that there's like a large tab right there. You can store this on the back if you prefer. So you can peg it in right there. Or, of course, you can pop it in his hand. And then he is good to go. Let's bring in his two companions here. Got the makings of a team. I'm loving it. They look great together. Very cool. So next up, we'll take a look at the little, like, armored barricade mode, whatever we want to call it. We're going to start by removing this piece right here, put that off to the side. We are going to lift up this top section here. This will just unpeg. You can see that it had these long tabs that were tabbed in right there. So you just lift that up, and then you just lift this part up, another set of tabs, and then that will allow you to remove this whole section from the back. Then you're going to take this and stand it up like that. Most of the barricade is done. We're going to come back to this section and just kind of put these down like this. And then we're going to rotate this. I'm trying to think. I think it's... Yeah, you need... These clips have to be facing this way, so you want to rotate it like that. So from starting position, you're going to do 180. And then these connectors here are going to connect on to these connectors here. And so this literally just smooshes on here like this. And that's pretty much it. Then we're going to take the gun, extend this out, extend this up. You can see that there are kind of... Is that where this clips on? Yeah, these two clips, there's like a spot for them. It just sits right there. And that's it. That is the barricade mode, whatever we want to call it. I mean, it's fine, I guess. It's not needed and barely anything. But it's here. You know, they tried to give you some kind of like little base mode with it. It's fine, I guess. Alright, let's start getting into the Superion transformation. That's what we're all here to see, right? We're going to take the gun, put that off to the side, and then we are going to basically transform him back into jet mode almost all the way. So I'm going to get the wings out of the way here, spin that head around 180 degrees. We are going to open up the chest, pop the Superion head back out. Yep, and like I said, I don't know what it is. Whenever I'm trying to get the Superion head back out, those always fall off. So as I mentioned previously, they're just pegged in on the side. And because they're kind of a little bit softer, malleable, not super malleable, but certainly more so than the other plastics, you know, they can be a little wonky when you're trying to make sure they fit in that little space, but you could always remove them if you needed to. So popping this back in, then we are going to fold up the arms and push these back in. So fold up the fist, fold up the elbow, fold the whole arm in like so. Close this back up, Make sure the Silverbolt head fits in there. And then you want to kind of bring this down so that there's a little spot. You can see that there's the tiniest little tab right there. And you kind of want to make sure that it goes into there, which can be a little difficult. So when I close this up, I want to make sure that goes in there. Okay, I think that's in. There we go. Okay, so I think that's it. And then we can go ahead and turn the Superion head around, which, by the way, looks great. I think they did a really good job. I mean, it's a simple design with a visor and a faceplate, but really nice metallic paints there. Really like that a lot. So, keeping the wings back at them away, we are going to rotate, bend at that kind of second knee joint. That's really part of the thigh. Close up the fist. Close up the heel. What is wrong with me today? Bring the foot down like so. And then you're going to bring this up, and then you have to kind of like shimmy the hand into this cavity here in the back of the leg. So get that in there. Come on. And then push it in. So rotate, bend, heel goes in, bring this down, and then slide this up. Get the hand in the leg. Come on. There we go. All right. The only part you're not going to continue on to vehicle mode is the back section here. You're going to pretty much leave that as it is. We'll have to move it around a little bit later, but for now, we can leave that as it is. All right, now we come to the big chunk. Going to remove the gun. You can actually get this ready by just flipping out this little peg spot right there. Take the littler gun, peg that into the end. You have Superion's gun, so we'll put that off to the side. We are going to disconnect this piece. You can probably tell this is going to be the thighs. We are going to rotate these back around and then just straight bring these down. This will flip up to here, and then you kind of leave that, so this will kind of, that's about ready. Then we're going to take this section, split it in half, like so. Then each half is comprised of a leg component and an arm component, so we are going to unpeg these. You're going to take this section and fold it back, and there's like a tiny little opening so that that spot can slide in there. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it lines up, but I promise it does. Then you're going to take this section, flip this out, which will give you clearance to flip this out, so you can see the foot there. And you have to make sure you realize use the ankle tilt to realize which side is which. But you're going to flip this up, and then they want you to push in. Once this is flipped up, this little black piece here, you push in, and that just kind of puts a little tab right there, and that just stops this from falling in on itself. So I don't think it's going to do much. It's the tiniest little tab, but I guess it's something so that that doesn't fall in while he's in robot mode, but I hardly think that's holding him together in any capacity. We can fold the fist out here. Now, you can do these ahead of time if you want, or you can use them when connected. So I'll show you one of each, because obviously we only have one. So you take your slingshot, fold up the wings, and then you're going to connect them. So these two spots go here, these four spots go here, and then obviously these two go here. So you can really connect this guy on pretty strongly. So he is on. And then because that inserts a tab into the torso, it will allow you to split him apart. It should allow you to split him apart. Come on. It's very similar to how Menasor works, but it is not doing it for me right now. He's got to be all the way connected. I can't connect him any more than that. So technically, if you wanted, you could leave it like this. If you like the kind of full connected plane mode. But it's meant to pop apart here. Why is this giving me such issue? All right, you know what? Is the tab not doing what it's supposed to do? I'm just going to show you. So we're going to open this up like this. That's going to come down. Maybe it'll be easier if I do it now. It's supposed to depress a tab that allows this to pop out, but I feel like it's there. It goes. Geez, that was really annoying. Okay, so then this will come up and pop out like this. And then this section is supposed to stay connected down here, but it didn't do it very well. But anyway, there you go. There's one of your Superion arms with Silverbolt. I keep saying Silverbolt. Slingshot connected. So there's your slingshot arm. So we'll put that off to the side. Then we're going to come over here. Disconnect this the same again. This flips up, down, like that. What is this doing to me? That's that. Okay, for some reason it's just, that connection is getting really stuck, and I don't know why. But anyway, here is your arm. You have a nice elbow, shoulder connection there. Like I said, very, very similar to how Menassor's arm works. Just a little stiff. I guess over time, hopefully that'll pop a little bit looser, so don't have those same issues. Doing the other leg, we're going to flip this up. We're going to push in this little piece there, flip this out, flip the foot around, boom, use the ankle tilt to the side. There are two legs. All right, so connecting Silverbolt into the kind of torso section here, we have to kind of lift this up a little bit. What I kind of like to do is you can bring this all the way up, unhook this, and get that really out of your way if you like to do that. Because the problem is this connection here, this little piece here with this peg is going to peg in right there. But it can be a little difficult because this only has so far that this can go. This can't really hinge up anymore. But you can see that there's a 2-spot connection there for these two tabs. So we're going to peg that in like that. And then this has to slide in underneath and peg in. So I need to make sure that this is all the way in. I believe that it is. And then make sure this pegs in. There we go. And then bring this back down. And I swear this looks like it's never going to clear. You can see the tabs in there. They're supposed to go above the two larger tabs. And you're thinking to yourself, there's no way that's ever going to happen. I promise it will. And then you can see that's really nice and secure in there now. Then you can bring this back down, click this into place, click this into place, and then that's not really going anywhere. Then this will come up. You can see there are these two big square tabs, and they're going to tab in right there. And there is your Superion chest. So like I mentioned, if the Autobot symbol was there, it would be covered up, and now it's over here. And I think in Superion, like a cartoon accurate model, he does have an Autobot symbol there. So like I said, I know that's why they did it. I just wish there was a way that like maybe they could have put it somewhere on this piece, or I don't know, something. But here is your basic torso with Silverbolt connected in there, looking pretty good. All right, up next we will get Air Raid ready for connection to the leg. So you're going to start off by swiveling these around like this. You're going to fold in these little wings down here. You're going to fold in, well, before we do that, let's rotate this section back like we're transforming them into robot mode. But then you can do an additional part of the nose cone that can come down and swivel down like this. Then we can close up, because once we do that, you can see that there's a tab here and a little tab spot there, so the wings will actually keep that section in place. And then you can just push the head down into that little section right there. And then you should be all set to go. So we're going to come around to the back. This is the back. You can see that there's kind of like a little overhang here. This is going to go kind of like, it's going to hook into this section. And then you have two tabs here and here that are going to peg into his like shoulders. And then you have the two pegs here that will peg into these two obvious spots right there. So you kind of hook this underneath, then peg that in, and then push this all the way in, and make sure that that's all flush. I think that's good, and then that will push these doors closed. And so we have a completed Superion leg. Alright, we'll start connecting our components here. So the legs connect exactly the same as Menasor, where it's kind of the old Combiner Wars connections. And you just kind of slide these in like so. Very simple to do. Slide that in. So we have our legs. The arms are kind of similar to Menasor as well, where you just have this piece here that's going to slide over what was the foot in robot mode for Silverbolt. So this will slide over and click into place, and then this will do the same. And then we can give him his giant gun. You can see that there's actually a little square peg right there. That's going to peg in right there, while this part goes into the fist. And there we go. So yeah, this guy's pretty awesome. Honestly, I think they did a great job with this. Such an improvement over the Combiner Wars one. I love the way that the other Aerialbots connect. Like I said, it's very similar. You can tell they just kind of copied the system from Menasor, but that's fine because the Menasor system worked. It was good. I like the giant cannon he's got. Head sculpt looks fantastic. Good range of motion. Can tilt down side to side, even tilt side to side ever so slightly. You have a connection rotation here. You have the hinge out to the side, all ratchets. You can hear that. You can hear the elbow there. You have a swivel as well. The hand can swivel. Waist swivel's amazing. You have, full range of motion here in the hips. Move the skirt out of the way. Up, front to back, out to the side. Thighs swivel. Got the knees there. Got the ankle tilt like we discussed. Yeah, he's cool. I like him a lot. I really, really do. The only thing I find, and I had trouble with this, and I looked around and I really didn't notice anyone else saying it. I had trouble getting the arms back off. And it just kind of like, I tilted it a little bit. And then, so when you're trying to take it off, like it slides on and it clicks pretty tight. And if you try to pull it straight up, I had trouble. But if you kind of tilt it and then slide it, I find it's a lot easier. I think because what happens is this little tab here goes into a little recessed area right there. And so you have to kind of tilt this away. And it's difficult because, you have all these joints moving around. And then also because this used to be the foot, that can ankle tilt. So that's trying to move around. And then also this is trying to move up. So I had a real tough time. So I just thought I'd mention it in case anyone else had trouble like me getting those arms disconnected. But otherwise, everything clips on great, holds its place, looks good. I can't wait for the last two to complete them. He really looks great. I love this release. I mean, honestly, I don't really have too much to complain about. I had little nitpicks like, I wish the Autobot symbol was on his chest for the Silverbolt robot mode. But that's minor things. I mean, this is really a lot of fun. They've really kind of perfected this new way of doing combiners where, yes, you're going to have a lot of kibble, or not even really kibble. I shouldn't say that's not the right word. You're going to have a lot of extra pieces needed for this framework for the combiner. And they're not always going to have a great place to go in various modes, but it's fine. I mean, yes, it worked perfectly for Menasor. Motormaster had that trailer that you could just hide the framework in, and that worked out perfectly. All future combiners are not going to have something like that works out so perfectly. We saw it here with Silverbolt. I thought they would do some kind of aircraft carrier or maybe a launch pad or something. Instead, they just kind of came with this like fake trailer for Silverbolt's vehicle mode. That looks a little silly. But honestly, I don't care. At the end of the day, if I have 5 good individual robot modes and 5 good individual vehicle modes and a fantastic combined mode, I'll use whatever pieces you need me to use. And if they have to go together and sit somewhere on the side if I want to display the 5 separately, so be it. I mean, it's just such a measured improvement over Combiner Wars. You know, you had Silverbolt's like forearms being super skinny thighs, and all the individual components had those big connector chunks in the chest. This is just such a better way to do it, and I'm fine with having silly extra pieces making a weird base mode or what. Like, that's fine, because this looks so good. I cannot wait to get Fireflight and Skydive to finish this guy off. I'm interested to see what's coming. We know Bruticus is coming. Maybe they could do something with Onslaught where, because he's got such a long vehicle mode, maybe part of that could be the framework for Bruticus. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what they come up with. I mean, if they try to get to, like, the Terracons, they're all animals. How's that going to work? Animals don't have trailers. I'm interested to see what they do. I'm just intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Fingers crossed, though. Hopefully Protectobots are next, because I would love to see Defensor get this treatment. He was always one of my favorites, and some real cartoon accurate Protectobots could be a lot of fun, because we all know we got that stupid Alpha Bravo mode for Vortex and Blades, and that was not good. So I'm getting off track. This is a great toy. I definitely think it's worth it. Even if you grab it for full price, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I'm having a blast with it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.